Mil, 2 milhões, 3 bilhões, nossa! Today we're looking at huge Portuguese numbers, starting above 100. If you need to practice numbers 0 to 100, check out my earlier video. Okay, let's start with 100, which you might already know in Portuguese is 100. This is actually only the case if there are exactly 100 of something. For any number above 100, instead of 100, we say cento. Then you just say e followed by a number from 1 to 99. So we have 100, 101, 102, 103, 138, and so on to 199. Remember that any number ending in 1 or 2 has a masculine and feminine version and must agree with the noun it refers to. So if you're counting a feminine noun, like apples, you'd say 101 maçãs or 102 maçãs. Now it's time to look at the multiples of 100. And once we get this sorted, you'll be able to say any number up to 1,000. Vamos lá. Generally, the hundreds follow the pattern of adding centos to the end of the number. So 400 is 400 and 900 is 900. The only ones that don't follow this pattern exactly are 200, 300 and 500. But they're not that far off. An important thing to remember is that all multiples of 100 have masculine and feminine forms, just like uma, dois, and duas. The two forms of each number simply have different endings. Us for masculine and as for feminine. Let's run through them all together. 200, 200. 300, 300. 400, 400. 500, 500. 600, 600. 700, 700. 800, 800. 900, 900. Filling in the gaps between the hundreds is easy because you just separate the elements with an E. For example, 121 is literally 120 and 1. 487 is literally 480 and 7. And 940 is 940. So now you can count all the way to 999. Right, we're almost there, and it's time to kick things up a notch and talk about the thousands. 1,000 in Portuguese is mil, and you simply add a number in front to say how many thousands. So that's 1000, 2000, 3000, and so on. And to fill in the gaps, we just add the relevant number to the end, making 1204, 4858, 7122. Notice that you don't need an E between the thousands and the hundreds here, but you do need it if the number is a multiple of 100, like 1200, 2400, or if you've got thousands and units with no hundreds, like 2004 or 5009. In Portuguese, unlike in English, there is no difference in how to say years and numbers. So both the number 1999 and the year 1999 are said exactly the same. 1999. Going even higher now, 1 million is 1 milhão. And we follow the same pattern for building numbers from there, but be careful because milhão becomes milhões in the plural. So 2 million is 2 milhões. Want to count higher? Let's do it. But here we have a difference between dialects. In Brazil, bilhão is used for 1,000 million, which has 9 zeros, and in English is 1 billion. However, in Portugal and Angola, bilhão is 1 million, which has 12 zeros, and in English is 1 trillion. And to add another tiny complication, bilhão is the common spelling in Brazil, whereas in Portugal, you'll likely see it spelled with an I instead of the H. Phew, that wasn't too bad, was it? Let's practice some of these big numbers before we move on. How would you say 327? 327. How about 2,500 for a feminine noun? 2.500. What about 9,650? 9.615. And let's try 13,007,463. 13,007,463. Fantastic. Something to keep in mind with these big numbers is how the use of commas and dots differs between English and Portuguese. In English, we make long numbers more readable by putting a comma in between each group of 3 digits. And for decimals, we use a dot to separate the whole numbers from the decimals. So 1 million is written like this, and €2.50 is written like this. However, in most European languages, including Portuguese, they do the opposite, using the dot to divide up the big numbers and the comma to separate the decimals, like this. Comma in Portuguese is vírgula, so the English number 3.34 will be read aloud as 2.34. I've got one last tip for you before we finish. You know how sometimes you don't know a precise number and you just want to say that there are hundreds of something? Well, in Portuguese, you can express this with centenas. For example, existem centenas de pássaros nessa árvore, which means there are hundreds of birds in that tree. A phrase you might say a lot in the Amazon. And you know how in English we use a zillion as a silly way of saying there are absolutely loads of something. In Portuguese, you can actually do the same thing with zillion. So you could say, há zillion de vídeos úteis em nosso canal do YouTube. And this means there's a zillion useful videos on our YouTube channel. And it's true, so make sure you subscribe as we have more Portuguese language videos coming. You should probably watch this video a few times to make sure you understand it. Or you can check out the article on Fluent in 3 months. Muito obrigado, boa sorte, e até a próxima. One more thing. I like to learn languages with podcasts because then you get to experience how the language is used by native speakers. Portuguese Pod 101 is my favorite podcast for learning Portuguese. And it's one I've used a lot. It goes all the way from beginner level to advanced. And if you're serious about learning numbers, it includes a vocab building tool that will help you memorize numbers in no time. There's a free trial if you use our link in the description.